What is going on, everyone? I can't get away from this team. I can't. I'm emotionally tied. I wake up, I think about how much they disgust me. I'm working throughout the day, I think about how much they disgust me. I go to bed, I stare at the wall or the ceiling, and I think about how much they disgust me. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about how frustrating the Phillies are, and we're going to take a deeper look into this Marlins series. I don't know why. It's not entertaining. It's not fun. I don't feel good about it. But I can't get away from it. It's always on my mind, so I just got to rant it out. Really, I do. The first thing I want to touch on is a story I read about Zach Eflin in this series. Now, before we do that, this podcast is sponsored by SeatGeek. Use the SeatGeek promo code BROADS and you will receive a free $20 off of your purchase. So get out, go to a ball game, go to a concert, anything you want. Go to an event, use the promo code BROADS. $20, that's nice. That's a nice little discount. It's a nice little how do you do. Let's talk about the Zach Eflin thing. So a few days ago, I stated, the pitching staff stinks, right? And they do. We all know that. The starting pitching staff is bad. But a lot of people were complaining about Chris Young. And I haven't really heard much about Chris Young. I know he doesn't have a huge resume. But when I looked at the pitchers, Vin Velasquez, Nick Pivetta, Zach Eflin through his struggles, it was a lack of talent. I still do agree with that, but there were reports after the game, and specifically Zach Eflin stating this. He went a different direction. He went a different way from what Chris Young was teaching him. And he actually did well. He had his best outing in 4 months. He went 6 innings. He was forcing the Marlins to ground out. He was using the sinker at a high rate. He was using his two-seam fastball. He looked good. But what Chris Young wanted him to do, 4-seamers, focus on the swing and miss stuff, try and get a lot of strikeouts, well, that wasn't effective for Zach Eflin. So, sort of like what Scott Kingery did when it came to changing his approach offensively and doing the complete opposite of what John Maui taught him to do, Zach Eflin did the same, and he had a good outing. Now, that's just one good outing. That doesn't mean he's 100% evolved back into what he was, right? But it's something to think about. What the hell is going on internally with this Phillies organization? You have players doing the opposite of what their coaches are telling them to do, and they're succeeding? That's a little scary to me. That's concerning to me. I didn't realize that Zach Eflin came out with those statements after Game 2 of this series. That's big news. That's big. That's something to talk about. That's controversial. We have a pitching coach that the pitchers are doing the opposite of what he's saying, and it's working. So, we'll have to keep an eye out on what Zach Eflin does here throughout his next few starts, because if he continues to give us a solid 6, to look good, to be effective with that sinker, to use his two-seamer more, and it's working, and players are grounding out more, we're going to have to look internally a little bit deeper than just John Maui. But I didn't know it was this degree. There really hasn't been too many reports on what Chris Young has been teaching and how these pitchers have reacted. I put it in comparison to the offense, and I said, John Maui had an offense that should have been producing. We have talent on this roster when you look up and down the lineup. They should have been scoring more than what they were scoring. They should have been hitting more. They weren't. We could see that. Okay, well, we had to make a change. With the pitching staff, the talent isn't there. At the end of the day, yeah, Zach Eflin had a better start, but overall, the talent's not there. So it's hard to evaluate a coach when the talent isn't truly there. For example, you put me in the Sixers practice, and Brett Brown doesn't make me an elite star, or he doesn't make me serviceable in the NBA, is that Brett Brown's fault, or is that my skill set? Well, that's probably a bad example, considering that it seems 50% of this fan base hates Brett Brown, and your answer, if you do hate Brett Brown, would be, well, that's his fault. Maybe. But it's just interesting, and it's something that this organization is going to have to look into when it comes to this offseason. What are we going to do? What are the moves that we're going to make? Because there are going to be moves. Because there has to be. Because this team is underachieving. Whether we somehow sneak into the damn playoffs or not, there's going to be moves to be made. Because this is sickening. This is sickening. It's not even fair that we are still involved in a playoff spot after losing another series to the Marlins. It blows my mind. This team is bad. The Marlins team is bad. The worst team in the National League. This is totally unacceptable. And we continue to fall to this team over and over and over again. We are now 7-9 in 16 games against the stinking Marlins. It just can't happen. We are fighting for our lives to get into the playoffs. And I don't think we're actually going to get there, but we are fighting for our lives to stay in it. There's no reason why we shouldn't have 11, 12, 13 wins against this team. That's a big-time jump in that second wild card spot right now. It would be the Nationals and us in the wild card. You'd have the Cubs and the other teams battling it out behind us. But we would be in there. Be in there with a little bit of separation. Not much, but a little bit. If we were able to beat the bad teams. It's not just the Marlins, though. We lose series at home to the White Sox. We lose series actually, this was at home as well against the Padres. Why do we lose to garbage teams, yet we can beat Boston and Fenway twice? And I know they're not having the season that they were expecting to have, but they're not on the level of the Chicago White Sox or the Padres or the Marlins. We're able to sweep the Cubs. But really, we struggle against Miami. We're playing this series out, by the way, keep in mind, without Bryce Harper. Does that bother me? No. I had a couple people asking me in the comment section over the last few videos, does that bother you, bro? No, it doesn't bother me. And it's just something where you realize, listen, this guy's having his child. His first child. That is so much more important than a baseball game, than a wild card race. It just is. From the fans' perspective, no, it's not, right? That's what everyone's probably thinking right now. No, it's not. It's not more important than a wild card run. But it is. And he's taking his 3 days, and he will join the Phillies again when they play the Pirates this upcoming series, and it is what it is. But you can't knock Bryce Harper for making this decision. There are way more important things in life than a baseball game. And your child being born is one of them. Keep in mind, seriously, keep in mind, even though this wouldn't have changed his decision, I can almost guarantee that. This isn't a series in Atlanta. This isn't a series at home against Atlanta. This isn't a series in Washington. We're playing the Miami Marlins. It shouldn't even be a discussion. The Phillies should be able to get the job done and beat down the Marlins without Bryce Harper. They are good enough to do it. They are. Even though we think they stink and they're horrendous because they're the most frustrating team we've ever followed, they're capable of beating this team without Bryce Harper. So let's go through hell. Why not? Together. That's how this works. The clubhouse is going through it internally. We're going to go through it as a fan base here on Sports Talk with Bros. All right? Game 1. We lose 19-11 on Friday night. Let's relive this moment. We're up 7-0. Vinny V in the third inning. He's all over the place. They start out with some small ball. They knock in some runs. Brad Miller has an error. And then he allows a 3-run bomb. And it's 7-7. Wow. But it's okay because Michael Franco ends up stepping up. We have some other guys step up. We're up 9-7. Okay, we took the lead back. That's fine. And with a blink of an eye, Nick Pivetta, who else was in that game? Ranger Suarez, Jared Hughes, they get destroyed on the bump. And we fall 19-11. They had 12 unanswered runs. Oh, man. Talk about a gut punch. The worst loss of the season. The worst loss of the season. And I know there's so many times that the fan base has said that. But truly, you're up 7-0 and you lose 19-11. That happens like once every 50 years. Pivetta was sent down after the game. And Nick Pivetta, he's such a baby. He's so immature. And I'm sick and tired of it. I really am. His attitude is a joke. You are a professional athlete. You need to handle yourself with maturity. There's going to be ups and downs throughout your career. You got to handle yourself well. Gabe Kapler, speaking on Nick Pivetta and sending him down, Gabe Kapler used a tone that we're not used to seeing. That makes me believe that there was something maybe said, a discussion that was had. There was a disconnect somewhere. Because we don't see Gabe Kapler talk like that. And one of the words he used was accountability. Nick Pivetta has to be accountable. All right. All right. Nick Pivetta, though, as much as he has the stuff, and we hear it all the time, there's something that doesn't work. And I know he's young, but I don't know how much longer I'm willing to go through this experiment. And every time I think about Nick Pivetta, the first thing I think about is Matt Klentak. And the fact that he actually allowed this team to go into the season thinking Nick Pivetta was going to be our number 2. Our number 2. And it's even crazier that right now we sit here on this date and who is our number 2? Jason Vargas? It scares me that not this fan base. Because this fan base can evaluate talent. This upper management, this GM, they don't know what starting pitching is. They don't know what good starting pitching is. As much as I rip Jason Vargas apart, if he's your 5th starter, okay. That's not the worst 5th starter in the world, but he's our number 2. And I don't know if I trust anything this organization is going to do moving forward in terms of pitching. We keep hearing about Spencer Howard. Will we see him in September? Maybe. And I'm intrigued by seeing him. But what if he doesn't have it and we can see that? He does intrigue me, though, and I am excited to see him if he does end up getting that call-up. Because we need young pitching. That's what you need. You need to grow your own pitching. You can attack starting pitching in free agency to go get a guy here or whatnot, but to be successful and to get these pitchers on friendly deals like Aaron Nola's on, you have to groom them yourself. And we don't do that at all. At all. And I've seen this organization pass on throwing money at starting pitchers before. Then we finally do with Jake Arrieta, and guess what? It backfires. So I don't know if we're going to be willing to do it again. We've done it heavily with the relief pitchers, and look how that went. So it's a mess. It's a mess all around. We lose game 1 of the series, and it's just so disappointing. It looked like a comfortable lead. It seemed like a game where we were going to be able to just cruise, take our time, get through the game. Sure, it'll be boring because it's 7-0 in the third, but don't worry about it. You just want the win. Who cares about the entertainment value at this point? And it blew up in our face. A really tough loss to start the series off. But in game 2, we bounced back. It was nice to see. Speaking of Zach Eflin, this was the game that he was on the mound. He was solid. Corey Dickerson went 4 for 5. He had 5 RBIs. Scott Kingery had that 3-run home run that he really got a hold of. That ball was launched, and it was really nice to see Scott Kingery get a really, really nice home run. Eflin even had some things going offensively, too. He was swinging the bat. I love seeing pitchers make contact and get some solid hits and help themselves, right? That's a big baseball move there. The pitcher helps themselves. We won that game pretty easily, 9-3. Game 3, 3-2 loss. We were up 2-0 because Rhys Hoskins hit a 2-run bomb in the 6th inning. But in that 6th inning, for that 2-run bomb to happen, Cesar Hernandez doesn't hustle. He should have been on second base. He only got a single. Luckily, Rhys Hoskins had his teammates back. And we'll touch more on Cesar in a minute once I finish, the rest of this game, which isn't much more to it because we were up 2-0, like I said, in the 6th inning. And then in the bottom of the 6th, when Aaron Nola was on the mound, after pitching a really good game, like a very solid game, he just had a brain fart in the 6th. I don't know if he lost his command, if him and JT were just on a totally different page there. His game plan changed for one inning. He was throwing too many off-speed pitches. The Marlins caught up to it. They were waiting. They had their bats back and started popping doubles left and right, singles, and they scored 3 runs in that inning. We lost the lead instantly. Nola goes back out in the 7th and probably has one of his best innings all game, so he just had a brain fart in the 6th. He goes 7 innings, 7 Ks. That one brain fart inning, hurt the team. Now, all around, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, that's a good day, and that's not his fault. But it just sucks that we finally took the lead, and then our ace, who was so dynamite all game long, just threw up a stinker inning. It was so weird, and it was so not like him. He's never been to the degree where he has that one bad inning, and then he follows it up with strong play. Earlier in the season, when he would fall apart early, when he fell apart, the ball was leaving the ballpark, there were home runs left and right off of him, and then he got pulled, and it was over with. This was so odd. But it didn't help. In the 8th inning, we try and find a way to fight back and find a way to score a run. Well, coming off the bench were 2 right-handed pinch hitters. Sean Rodriguez, who has 1 hit in August, and Andrew Knapp. You also had Franco in the mix, who was swinging at pitches in the dirt. Sean Rodriguez's at-bat was so bad. 4 pitches, backwards K, and he had this look on his face that just pissed me off. As if he didn't know what just happened. As if he was confused. As if he didn't even know where he was. He was lost up there. Where am I? What am I doing? Am I supposed to swing the bat? Where am I? Am I in the MLB? I shouldn't be. Thank God I know Gabe Kapler. Thank God we were teammates. That's probably what's rolling through his head at that time. It just shows how flawed this roster really is. And even though I say that, it's still good enough to beat the Marlins, so there's no excuse. The team is flawed. The roster does have holes in it. But you can't say that, since it's flawed, it's okay to lose 2 of 3 to the Marlins again. Again. It's over and over and over again. So, that's how we lose 2 of 3 to the Marlins. Let's get to Cesar not hustling. I see it. I see the mindset of you're trying to fight for the wild card. You take Cesar out. Well, who do you put in then? We're that bad when it comes to the bench. How do you make that work? There's no talent to do it. So from that standpoint, I get it. But at the same time, these meetings, I've had talks, and that's what we're hearing out of Gabe Kapler, I don't know what that's doing. Because Cesar has been in trouble, if you will, with air quotes, for not hustling before. And clearly, nothing has changed. He just did it again in a crucial moment. At that point in the ball game, we couldn't get anyone in scoring position. We weren't able to create any type of offense. You smack one to the wall and you're giving it a look and you're admiring it and you're giving it a light jog. How about you think, damn, let me get on second here because we haven't been on second all game long. Even if he got thrown out there, which I don't think he would because he's got so much speed, but even if he got thrown out there, okay, I get the mindset. I get the mindset. Now, realistically, like I said, I don't think he would have even been close to getting thrown out. I thought that was an automatic double if he ran from the box instantly. But I'm just saying, even if he was to be a little over-aggressive there and it happened, okay, like that's a better mindset than not working hard at all. but the team wasn't able to generate anything offensively. At that point, how was your mindset not, I'm going to get on second base so I can put my team in a good position to knock in a run and we can score? It's sickening. And the fact that it's Cesar again, we'll see how it plays out for the lineup on Monday against the Pittsburgh Pirates? Yes, Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll see if he's in the lineup or not. My guess is he probably will be, but maybe there's a slim chance because it's a repeat offender, and the fact that he just sent down Nick Pivetta and said you gotta be accountable. Maybe. But Gabe Kapler doesn't worry about hustling. He doesn't sit people. There's no message publicly. And that's a problem. It has to be publicly. If you go in there and rip him apart behind closed doors, maybe he gets the message. Apparently not, though, because this is more than one or two times that he hasn't hustled. So clearly the behind closed door thing isn't working. He needs to do it so people see what's actually going on. Look at what Snitker did to Ronald Acuna Jr. It's the right move. It sets a tone. At this point, it might be too late to set the tone. But you got to try something new because it's not working. You got to be a little brutal. One thing that Gabe Kapler stated about this situation on the post-game show was Jay Bruce. We have veteran leaders. I don't think he specifically said the name Jay Bruce, but he said we have veterans in this clubhouse. I watched Jay Bruce put his arm around his shoulder, whatever he did, and look at him and just mouth, "You gotta run." And Cesar said, "I know." If that's listen, I respect Jay Bruce for doing that because it is the right thing to do. But if that's the guy sending the message, if that's the only message sent to Cesar Hernandez, that's pathetic if Gabe believes that's good enough. That's not good enough. That's like the first step. That's like you doing something wrong. Your boy tells you, "Yo, you're screwed. Your parents are going to kill you." Then you get, not physically, just, you're going to get in trouble. You might get a punishment. Then you go home and then your parents give you that punishment. Your boy telling you you're screwed isn't good enough. You go home and then you receive the punishment. That's similar to that situation. Jay Bruce is your boy in that position, saying, "Yo, you got to run there, dude." I can't stand it. You have Charlie Manuel in the dugout, a guy who was not afraid to sit people for not hustling before, and he's got to watch this. He's got to sit here and watch Gabe Kapler do Gabe Kapler things. He's, in his mind, I'm telling you, he is, he's probably not even sure how Gabe Kapler still has a job. It has to be that way. He's probably laughing, thinking about the way that Gabe Kapler is handling this situation. Because there's really no discussion, right? There should be zero discussion on the right move. You sit him. We would be honored as a fan base to see Cesar Hernandez get set. And I wonder if the fact that Bryce Harper's not there, why this happened. Because you see so many times Bryce Harper running into the wall in foul territory in a 9-1 game, running full speed for a pop-up that's awkwardly in between second base and him, and he dives out. His effort on the base pass, going to second base, sliding head first, giving the fist pumps. I wonder if because Bryce Harper's not there, Cesar doesn't see that, and then he gets back into his lackadaisical ways. The emotional leader, the leader who gives the most amount of effort every time he touches the field, that guy isn't there. And it was the third day that he wasn't there. So Cesar gets used to not seeing him work. And then he falls into that trap of Cesar doing Cesar things. It seems as if our players in the clubhouse, they don't hate to lose. They like to win, but they don't hate to lose. And you need those type of players. Now, granted, I think Jake Arrieta hates to lose, but he's a douche. So, it's a little different. You need to hate to lose and still have a respectful personality at the same time. can't be throwing your teammates under the bus and all of that nonsense. But the teams, they don't care. It seems like they don't care. I'm sure they have a little feeling towards it, but they don't care enough, apparently. Because you can't consistently lose to the Marlins. You can't consistently lose these series. How many times now have we had a moment to make a statement? A moment to get on a little ride, to make a little push, and they fall flat on their face. I can name you off the top of my head maybe 10 times this season. That's so many. It might happen 1, 2 times. 10? It can't be to that level. Now, we are 0-10 with a chance to go, I believe it's 7 games over 500. Why is that? Why can't we get over the hump? It's been brutal all season long. And I did state this before, but there is a series against the Marlins in September that we might still be involved in. Who knows? And guess what? We're going to lose 2 of 3 there, and it might end our season. Just because that's how seasons work. That's how sports work. It's so ironic at times. That's how it's going to play out. But speaking of September, this September stretch is insane. We have the Mets, the Braves, the Red Sox, the Braves again. And you got the Nationals thrown in there. Who else is in there? There's another really solid team that's totally escaping my brain right now. I'm trying to think. I got about 3 more seconds to think, and if I can't think about it, I'm over it. I'm over it. I can't think. But anyway, regardless, September is going to be hard as hell. Now, somehow, some way, we beat the teams that are good. So maybe we'll play up to the talent. Maybe. But I don't think it's reality. To me, this team is going to fall short. I don't want to fall back into any crap again. Oh, they won 3 in a row. Watch what's going to happen. They're going to end up sweeping the Pirates or something. And everyone, here's the rope. Here's the rope. It's going to get tied on to everyone, and they're just going to keep pulling it in. And then what happens? They lose 2 in a row, and it's all over again. It's the same common story, and I'm sick of it. Yet I can't stop thinking about it. It's always in my head. It's not like Eagles training camp or preseason has really any juice. So this is it. A couple more weeks till football season starts. I doubt the Phillies are going to really be in it then. But this is it right now. Truly. It is interesting, though. Like, it's interesting. I find it unique how engaged I still am with the constant disappointment. The feeling is so odd, and it's so rare to be on this type of flow when it comes to emotion. I feel like, secretly, I almost enjoy it. Like, how is it going to happen this time? What's going to occur this time? How many games are we going to win in a row before the downfall happens? I'm so intrigued by how this is all going to play out, but I understand where it's going to go. I know the path. We're never going to get over the hump. We're going to win a couple games in a row. We're all going to get sucked back in. And then there's going to be a time where the downfall happens and it sucks and we're disappointed and we're frustrated, but then we go on a 3-game win streak. We go up 7-0 against the Marlins and lose the baseball game, but then we bounce back, but then we lose with Aaron Nola. How is it going to happen next? What is going to be the next emotional tie that happens, the next emotional ride? How is it going to play out? I'm happy to see Bryce come back, though. I need it. I need that because he's a must-watch guy every time he's up to bat. With him gone, there was no one that moved the needle to the level of Bryce Harper. Definitely isn't Rhys Hoskins. Listen, I know he hit a 2-run home run, but he's still not there yet. He is just watching pitches go down the pipe that he should be crushing. It makes me sick to my stomach watching him do that. He's too good. He is too good for that. And it looks like Charlie Manuel is stumped We're talking about the guy who came in here and fixed everything. Nah, but he's definitely a guy that can really help players out. And Rhys Hoskins, it seems as if Charlie Manuel is stumped and fooled and doesn't know how to approach this situation. That's how you know it's bad. He looks so lost at the plate every time he's up there. Now, that 2-run shot was great. It really was. And the fact that he picked up Cesar Hernandez there, I was pumped because it didn't come back to bite us. That Cesar not hustling play didn't come back to bite us. I was pumped. And it was a nice swing. He really did get a hold of that ball. But then in the 9th, he went right back to the ugliness. He's not there. He hasn't been good enough. And I don't know if it's going to be fixed. It's been 129 games at this point. It's funny because as I do these videos, and when the season first started, I'm typing in the title of each video, and at the end, Game 5. Then a few weeks later, Game 20. And then wow, we're at Game 82 already. And now I'm typing them in like, wow, 130, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be hitting 130 the next time I type in a title. The season flies by like this when you think about it. But I can also have a mindset when thinking back at it and say, this season has sucked. It just sucked. It just has. There is a question I have, though. Outside of Phillies baseball, how much baseball do you watch? Are you someone that loves the game so much you'll tune in? Now, I have the MLB TV package. I do tune in to games outside of the Phillies. I'll watch a Sunday night baseball game, even though the broadcast is not that great, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of it. I do love tuning in to MLB Network at night because they do it similar to Red Zone, where they'll tune in to games. Oh, let's go to San Diego. There's 2 outs, 2 men on. It's the 8th inning, and then something will happen. Let's go to Oakland, and let's go to, San Francisco, and let's tune in to Boston. I love how they flip-flop through, like, Red Zone a little bit. Or sometimes they do at 10 o'clock at night, they have an Angels versus A's game or something, and I'm all in on that. I do watch games outside of the Phillies, but it's not the same. I don't get the same dissection of baseball. I love baseball, but if there's an Orioles-Yankees game on the Yes Network, and I tune in on that, and I have it on because there's nothing else on around this time, I'm not looking heavily into every pitch, like, oh, it's a 2-1 count, he just threw a slider, what's he going to pin, as if it's the same game if Aaron Nola was on the mound and it's a Phillies game. It wouldn't be to the same level, but I do branch out outside of it. I definitely get heavily involved with the playoffs, without a doubt. I mean, that's must-watch, every pitch type thing. But as for the regular season, I have it on, I watch, but I don't fully invest pitch by pitch the same way I do with the Phillies. I just can't. And I thought about that because I was watching the Little League World Series because they just had the championship game there on ABC. It was Louisiana won, New Orleans won. And I was watching every pitch. And I was fully engaged once the Phillies thing all finished out. And I'm like, wow, I'm really focused on this. It wasn't a close game or anything, but I was really invested into it. I thought, why am I that invested right now? And then I thought, do I get this invested with other games? Not really. I have them on and I watch, but I don't insanely dissect it. And I thought, no, let me put that down in my notes. I'm just going to ask at the end of the podcast, how do you feel about baseball? Do you get so emotionally tied to pitch by pitch with teams outside of Philadelphia or with teams outside of your respected favorite MLB team? So with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. If you're listening to it on the podcast app or any version, can you please rate the podcast and leave a review? I would really appreciate that.